All right, I'm told we have Brahma Chalani with us on the phone line. Brahma, there we heard the MEA spokesperson saying very categorically, and these are very strong words. He says there are two deeply disturbing developments which force the cancellation. One, the killing of policemen in Kashmir, and the postage stamps glorifying terrorists. And also says Pakistan it's obvious Pakistan won't mend its ways. It's obvious that the evil agenda of Pakistan stands exposed, and the true face of Imran Khan's government stands revealed to the world. Your thoughts, Brahma?
It's known to everyone that Pakistan will not mend its ways. The spokesperson cited two developments since the Indian announcement to hold the foreign ministers' meeting. But the Indian announcement came just a day after news appeared about the mutilation of the body of an Indian Jawan. And the fact that India announced such a foreign ministers' meeting, despite the outrage over the mutilation, sent out a very unfortunate message. Because the Indian decision to have a foreign ministers' level meeting in New York was seen across the world as a signal, as a thaw in Indo-Pakistan relations, because that meeting on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly would have represented the first high-level contact between India and Pakistan in nearly 3 years, since early 2016, when talks were suspended after the Pakistan scripted attack on the Pathankot Air Force Base. So if this latest announcement was taken without careful deliberation and reflection, because what is important is to send a clear message, to be consistent in our policy towards Pakistan. And this meandering approach, one day we announced that we will have a meeting with Pakistan at the foreign ministers level, and on another day we cancel it. And this gives the impression that careful thought was not guiding the Indian foreign policy towards Pakistan.
All right, so as Brahma pointed out, he says the decision to go in for talks was taken without careful reflection, and that it betrays an inconsistency in India's approach towards talks with Pakistan. I want to take that point across to Ambassador Sinha. Ambassador Sinha, you heard Brahma Chalani there, and also my colleague Siddhant Sabal before that. Your thoughts on what the way forward might look like here onward, because now it seems it's increasingly difficult for talks to resume anytime soon.
Well, as Brahma Chalani said, we should not be flip-flopping all the time. There is a strong argument for saying that we must hold talks because we have a new government in Pakistan. At the same time, there is a counter-argument that when Pakistan does acts like terrorism, then we should not have talks with Pakistan. But the point is that whatever line we take, we must stand firm on that line. Now, a flip-flop in 24 hours is just not right. And that shows us in very poor light, and we should avoid such kind of indecisiveness in our policy towards Pakistan. Pakistan is not going to change. It hasn't changed the last 70 years. So whatever policy we pursue, we must stay the course.
All right, so as Ambassador Sinha pointed out there, he says this flip-flop should end. India would do well to not resort to these flip-flops every few weeks or months or years, that India should remain firm, and that this decision to cancel talks barely 24 hours after announcing the talks stands India in poor light, and that it reflects and betrays India's indecisiveness. Right, Ambassador Sinha and Brahma Chalani, do stay on if you will. I want to go across to my colleague Siddhant Sabal one more time. Siddhant, to begin with the MEA spokesperson's remarks there, very strong words, that he says Pakistan will not mend its ways, and that it is obvious that the evil agenda of Pakistan stands exposed, and that it reveals the true face of Imran Khan's government to the world, and therefore any talks have been proved or rendered meaningless. Siddhant.
Well, strong statement by the Ministry of External Affairs saying that Imran Khan's true face has been exposed. But many will ask what happened in 24 hours that they had to cancel with another press conference saying that talks have been cancelled. And what was that solid reason which made change in the Indian policy? India has been saying that talks and terror can't go together. It has been standing by this policy that talks and terror can't go together since the Indian Prime Minister went to Lahore for a stopover, and after that India got Uri and Pathankot, and many of my colleagues, diplomatic colleagues who were covering, were also kind of in this pleasant surprise that okay, yeah, India has softened its stand, and there will be of course now talks, because we have seen what's happening on the line of control. That's not good for either of India, for India and for Pakistan. And now within 24 hours, India is saying that the true face of Imran Khan has been revealed. So many will ask, what was that evidence that led to this change in direction? And as ambassadors before me have spoken, they have saying there's a policy flip-flop. And many will agree today that there has been a policy flip-flop in New Delhi, and many will paint Pakistan in a positive picture. Primarily, it was Pakistani proposal. India accepted it, and within 24 hours, India says that there can't be any talk. So it's a kind of a shock decision, basically two shocking decisions in matter of just 24 hours. First saying talks will happen, and now strongly worded statement by the spokesperson of the Ministry of External Affairs saying that talks won't happen, and there have been reasons also elucidated by the spokesperson. So kind of a shock decision, a decision that's going to impact India-Pakistan decision, and that can obviously for next few months or few years, it seems there will be a deadlock in India-Pakistan relationship.
Right, we'll discuss about this so-called U-turn in a bit. I'll ask my panelists, Siddhant Sibbal, Brahmachalani and Ambassador Dilip Sinha, to stay on if you will. Let's take a moment to listen in once again to the spokesperson's comments there.
The latest brutal killings of our security personnel by Pakistan-based entities and the recent release of a series of 20 postage stamps by Pakistan glorifying a terrorist and terrorism confirm that Pakistan will not mend its ways. The decision to agree to Pakistan's proposal for a meeting between the foreign ministers of the two countries in New York later this month was in response to the spirit reflected in the letters from the new Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of Pakistan. The letter from the Prime Minister of Pakistan had spoken of inter alia, bringing a positive change and mutual desire for peace, as also readiness to discuss terrorism. Now, it is obvious that behind Pakistan's proposal for talks to make a fresh beginning, the evil agenda of Pakistan stands exposed, and the true face of the new Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, has been revealed to the world in his first few months in office. Any conversation with Pakistan in such an environment would be meaningless. In view of the changed situation, there will be no meeting between the foreign ministers of India and Pakistan in New York.
There you heard the official confirmation coming in from the spokesperson of the Indian Foreign Ministry, Ravish Kumar, who said that the talks stand cancelled because of two deeply disturbing developments. One, the abduction and killing of 3 Indian policemen in Jammu and Kashmir, and the release of 20 postage stamps by Pakistan glorifying terrorists, including the Hizbul Mujahideen terrorist who was killed in India on the 8th of July 2016. Right, I still have with me my panelists Siddhant Sibbal, Brahmachalani and Dilip Sinha. Brahma, if I can come to you now, you referred to a couple of points in your intervention earlier. You said that this could have been taken without careful reflection, careful thought, and that it betrays a certain inconsistency in India's approach towards Pakistan. But even more important, you mentioned a couple of words before that. You referred to politically risky for the government to go ahead with the talks, especially in an election year. Your thoughts?
Well, there are two things here. One, India is under American pressure. The Americans have a very narrow agenda in relation to Pakistan. They want India to engage with Pakistan. That's the message that Pompeo brought to New Delhi. And in response to the American pressure, India is already engaging with the Imran Khan government. As I had mentioned, India held recently a meeting of the Permanent Indus Commission in Lahore. That meeting was advanced by many months. It was scheduled only for 2019. that meeting was advanced so that India's first bilateral engagement with Imran Khan government was in the form of this meeting of the PIC, the Permanent Indus Commission. But the decision to hold a foreign minister level meeting in New York on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly was a major step because it was a sign of a thaw in bilateral relations. There have been no formal talks between India and Pakistan at a high level since the beginning of 2016, since the Pathankot attack. So had this meeting in New York gone ahead, this would have been seen by the world as a thaw in Indo-Pakistan relations. And I think the government in New Delhi decided in favor of these talks without reflecting the message it would send to the world and the message it would send domestically, because the decision was taken right after the Pakistan army had slit the throat of an Indian Jawan and mutilated his body.
Right.
Now that's savagery. Should have shocked everyone, should have shocked the Indian government, and yet, despite that savagery, they decided to hold the talks. So they came under pressure domestically in the last 24 hours, and the fact that the Pakistanis, in the meantime, released 20 stamps glorifying terrorists who had been killed in J&K, and also abducted and killed 3 Indian policemen who through their surrogates in J&K, made things more difficult for New Delhi. So I think if good sense has prevailed in New Delhi, we should welcome it. If a mistake was made yesterday in announcing the talks, that mistake should be corrected, even if it's within 24 hours or whatever the duration of the time. But a mistake had India not corrected the mistake, had India decided to go ahead with the talks, that would have compounded the present situation.
Indeed, as Brahma said there, he sees it as a course correction, a correction of a mistake committed barely 24 hours ago when India accepted Pakistan's proposal for talks and announced the FM level talks next week in New York. Ambassador Sinha, Brahma Chalani seems to suggest that the optics were not conducive for any talks, let alone a chat between the foreign ministers. He seems to suggest that this was premature in hindsight and ill-conceived or ill-advised. He also refers to the US pressure on India and Pakistan to talk. Your thoughts, Ambassador Sinha?
Well, US pressure, I'm not aware of that right now, because right now there also seems to be pressure on Pakistan from the US on terrorism. For Pakistan, it might actually be a way out to try and tell the Americans that, look, on terrorism, we are talking to India. And if we can get India on board, then we can, that's the line that Pakistan has been taking, that the terrorism that exists between India and Pakistan is because of India's policies. And now they're talking to India, and therefore they'll be able to take some action on terrorism. But the more important concern is the issue of the flip-flop. I say that there is a certain line of reasoning to say that if a new government takes over in Pakistan and offers talks, we should go ahead and listen to them. Whatever actions Pakistan has taken, the mutilation of the body, the abductions in Kashmir, these are all old stories. Pakistan has done this over and over again. Now, if we take that to mean that we should not hold any talks with Pakistan, there is certain logic to that, but it will mean that there will be no talks with Pakistan. Now, I am not in favor of structured dialogue, like a composite dialogue or a comprehensive dialogue with Pakistan, but certainly the foreign ministry exists to have talks with countries even if they are at war. And in such a situation, a foreign ministers meeting also on the sidelines of the UNGA would not have been such a disastrous thing. But what is disastrous is this flip-flop that has taken place, where we seem to be undecided about how to deal with Pakistan.
Right, it's getting to 43 minutes past 5 p.m. India time. I'm going to take a moment or two to sum up for the benefit of the viewers who might just be tuning in. India has decided to cancel the foreign minister talks with Pakistan. They were to be held on the 27th, that's next week in New York on the margins of the UNGA. But India decided to cancel those talks. The spokesperson of the Indian Foreign Ministry is saying that there were two deeply disturbing events. One, the killing of policemen in Jammu and Kashmir, And 2, the release of postage stamps glorifying terrorists, including the slain Hizbul Mujahideen terrorist who was killed on the 8th of July in 2016. The spokesperson saying that it's clear now that Pakistan will not mend its ways and that it's obvious the evil agenda of Pakistan stands exposed and that the true face of Imran Khan government has been revealed to the world, and therefore any talks have been rendered meaningless, and therefore India cancelling the FM level talks that were to have taken place next week in New York. And my panelist, Ambassador Dilip Sinha, saying that this indicates a flip-flop on the part of India, that it reflects poorly on India's foreign policy, and that it was entirely and eminently avoidable. Brahma Jalani saying that it was a politically risky move in an election year, also that this was taken without careful thought, careful consideration, and it betrays inconsistency, and that American pressure may have something to do with the latest turn of events. All right, now is the time for me to quickly go across to the context of all of this. The bodies of 3 abducted Jammu and Kashmir policemen have been found in Shopian district of Jammu and Kashmir. Now on Thursday night, if you can remember, unidentified terrorists had abducted and 4 policemen, including 3 from the Jammu and Kashmir State Police Force. Now, while 3 cops were shot dead, terrorists released the 4th kidnapped person, who was the brother of a slain policeman. Now, those killed have since been identified as Firdaus Ahmad Kuche, Kuldeep Singh and Fayaz Ahmad Butt. The Jammu and Kashmir police accorded a guard of honor for their fallen colleagues. The abduction and killing comes nearly 3 weeks after terrorists abducted and released relatives of policemen from various places in South Kashmir. Now, the video started circulating on social media of a few policemen resigning from the force in Jammu and Kashmir, but the Indian government now saying that those videos are not reliable, they are propaganda, and that the government says these videos are being circulated with malicious intent and that no policeman in Jammu and Kashmir has resigned. Remember, earlier this week, Hizbul Mujahideen terrorists had put out videos in which they threatened policemen to either resign or face attacks. Now, meanwhile, former Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti has expressed outrage over the killing of the policeman.
ऐसा होना नहीं चाहिए। मतलब आज इन 3 के साथ हो गया, कल हमारे साथ होगा, कल आपके साथ होगा, किसी न किसी के साथ तो होगा ही होगा। तो हम सबको अपील कर रहा है कि ऐसा होना नहीं चाहिए।
देखिए, ये बहुत ही अनफॉर्चुनेट इंसिडेंट है एंड इट्स ए काउर्डिस एक्ट. We thank the people also, some of the people who came forward and tried to protect these boys. So at this stage, we can only tell you the investigation is on, and we shall bring the accused to the justice.
अफगानिस्तान के लोगों को कहना चाहता हूं, हम एक दूसरे